I did not like the state of play, and I'm going to tell you why. The Sony of old was very creative. They took some risks. They allowed their studios to cook ideas, take chances, and build out those brands. Even if the first game really didn't hit the way they wanted it to, they recognized the fact that creating characters and worlds was important, and you had to stick with them. People don't know what they want until you give it to them. But then something happened. It became about spending a lot of money or attaching yourself to brands that have already been established that you didn't create, and somehow convincing people that those brands identify with you. And okay, that's fine. Third-party games tend to skew to PlayStation. People tend to get excited when third-party games are announced at a PlayStation show as if they're PlayStation exclusives. That's a byproduct of selling a console to the most people because they're going to engage with those games there. But it doesn't really speak to the creative spark within the company. Take a look at Spider-Man. So you had something like Infamous 2, Second Son, First Light. And you might say, well, those games didn't sell well, so they abandoned them. Then they took something already established, like Spider-Man, and they said, do your thing. Well, of course, people are going to buy it because it's an established brand. It's not you that established it. You gave it to a talented group of people. They made a good video game, and now conceivably, they're the superhero that's already been created by somebody else's studio. By the way, I know that's not Sucker Punch, it's Insomniac. It's just an example of a wholly owned original IP being discarded in favor of one that's already established. The idea of them building out worlds that they've created, the idea of them keeping the characters that they thought up, cultivating them, growing them, it's gone. How is that something to be celebrated? Ghost of Tsushima, PS4 ported to PS5. Horizon Zero Dawn, PS4, ported to PS5. Forbidden West, PS4, ported to PS5. The first proper game on PS5 will be Ghost of Yotai. How many years into the generation? And you might say, well, video games cost a lot and they take time. And my answer to that is they don't have to cost a lot and they don't have to take that much time to have a great game that's really successful and to build a brand the way that Sony used to. Sony used to know how to build a brand. Now, it's essentially a box that's successful for everyone else's games. And you might say to yourself, well, how's that a bad thing? Well, you're buying a box to play third-party games that skew to the PlayStation. They're everywhere else, but most people play them on the PlayStation. Okay, great. And then you get 8-year development cycles for first-party games. You might get one first-party game from an internal studio an entire generation. How is that good? Astrobot's success isn't because of Sony. It's in spite of Sony. How many games born out of the Astrobot universe are you going to get? How many new games using that art style or that engine are you going to get? Probably none. My question is why? Why aren't you going to get them? There's this idea that spending a lot of money equals creativity. There's an audience that's been cultivated by Sony that won't touch a game from their first party in any real meaningful way unless it's a 9 out of 10, costs $300 million to create, and tells a story that you'd rather sit and watch than sit and play. And I'm not saying you can't tell stories in video games, but there's a difference between the video part and the game part. And I feel like Sony sort of lost the plot there. Now, I've played and loved every Infamous game. Second Son, this is First Light. You could say, well, these games didn't sell well. They abandoned this series. They abandoned these characters. They abandoned these worlds. These could quintessentially be PlayStation, and they're gone. If you're going to critique this video, think about this. Look at the praise Astrobot is getting, harkening back to all of these old characters, right? But none of those characters are around anymore. Half of them aren't even Sony's. They're third-party games that skew PlayStation. And the ones that were first-party that aren't around anymore, if you're excited about seeing them again, why aren't you disappointed that they gave up on them in favor of AAA, huge budget, no-risk games like Spider-Man or Wolverine? Of course, Wolverine's going to be successful because it's already established. It's already successful. Where's the creativity? Where's the new characters? Where's the new worlds? Where's the brand building that they used to do? I just don't see it anymore. Remember the critique of Microsoft's buying all these studios and then saying all of the games that were made already in the past are now theirs and they get the prominence? Well, isn't that the same thing as attaching yourself to Spider-Man and Wolverine? So, if you're interested in huge budgets, 8-year development cycles, one game from a studio each generation, I guess PlayStation's it. But if you're interested in creativity, if you're interested in risk-taking, if you're interested in surprise, they used to be it. And I'm just not seeing it anymore. Let me know what you think in the comments section below. Thanks for watching the video, and I'll see you in the next one.